Hi, I'm Cathy. From my earliest memory, it was always just me, my mom, and my sister. My dad wasn't around. And we were living in Ohio for the beginning of my time, and then my mom decided to move us to Arizona, away from all of our family. And being that I was raised in the 80s by a single mom who had to work many hours, and my sister was much older than I spent a lot of time alone. A lot of time being by myself and coming home to an empty home. I remember being a latchkey kid who would come home and eat her Captain Crunch after school and start watching TV all by myself. We never sat by the table to eat dinners. And during the time when I was 13, my mom got sick. She turned out to have a disease that went undetected for 19 years. And by the time they found it, her body was completely destroyed. So she passed away when I was 13, a week before my 8th grade year. So all of a sudden, it was like I closed my eyes to my old life and opened my eyes to a brand new one that I knew nothing about. And because my dad wasn't around and my sister was off living at almost 20 years old in her own life, I was shipped to Florida to live with my grandparents. And I remember that she passed away on the 13th. Her funeral was on the 16th. I moved to Florida on the 17th. And on August 19th, there was a Category 5 hurricane that hit. And I had just moved there, and we all of a sudden had Hurricane Andrew plummeting down on us. And I remember looking out at the windows and seeing this storm that I'd never seen before. And I lived in Arizona, we had wind storms, but never the kind of storm that a hurricane can bring. And I remember looking out the window and seeing the wind and seeing the rain and seeing all the destruction that was happening. And I remember thinking, this is my life. This is what's happening right now. I am going through a storm. And I remember my grandmother, she was so tiny. And she came in, she put her arm around me. And I remember thinking, oh, she's gotta be scared. She's, having to raise a 13-year-old all over again. And the storm is happening and what's going on. And I remember looking at her, and she has such peace about her. And I looked at her and I said, Grandma, why aren't you scared? She said something that I'll never forget. She goes, because I know who's in control of the storm. And I, at that moment, knew what hope felt like for the first time. And I had this feeling of being rejected by my mom and rejected by my dad and rejected by family. That abandonment feeling was all gone. And she put me in a situation where I learned about Jesus, and I was surrounded by love, and I was surrounded by hope, and I was surrounded by peace. And eventually went to college and met a man from the middle of Illinois and had 3 beautiful boys who are on fire for Jesus. And it's all because of God. And I know that He is in control of every storm. I have learned it and felt it in my heart ever since then, that I now know who is in control. And that's what gives me hope.